First, let me say how honored I am to be invited to take part in this forum on China's future development. China's economic development in the last 20 years has been dramatic, raising hundreds of millions of people out of poverty and creating a significant middle class. However, the progress has been uneven, with the coastal regions doing much better than the inland areas. And there are still many poor people living in the rural countryside. In the cities, income disparity is also growing. Land acquisition has created considerable social tension, and in many places, the environment has been badly damaged. All these problems can be tackled, provided there is continuing peace and stability. China has the resources. Its infrastructure has improved beyond recognition. But China needs time to reform its social systems and to modernize its culture. The objective of China's foreign policy today is to have as favorable an external environment as possible so that its internal challenges can be gradually overcome. Following the instruction of Deng Xiaoping, China's approach is to keep a low profile internationally and to abjure hegemony. In fact, Deng Xiaoping put this point across starkly when he said, should one day China seek hegemony, the countries of the world should unite to bring down China. However, China is not a world by itself. In fact, China's rapid development began only after it embarked on the post-Mao reform policy of opening up in 1978. It was only by plugging into the global network that China was able to transform itself. In the process, transforming the world. China has become a great trading nation, exporting a large part of its output and importing huge amounts of raw material, beyond anything which Deng Xiaoping could have foreseen. And this has created new external problems for China. At one level, there is considered fear, quite widespread, that China is too competitive. It is exporting too much. Its trade surplus is excessive. Its demand for raw material has raised commodity prices for everyone. It is grabbing energy resources in Africa and elsewhere. Its currency is undervalued, and so on. That's at one level. At a higher level, there is a strategic fear that China will become too powerful and will eventually threaten other countries. The US, as the sole superpower today, sees China in that light, even though its public statements say otherwise. Russia, Japan, and India worry too. China's neighbors are also concerned that in their bilateral relations with China, each is too weak to deal with China on any basis of equality. China's centralized system is another source of apprehension because it allows Beijing to mobilize resources and pursue policies in ways which democratic countries find much harder to do. One cannot imagine China having a huge public debate over a major policy issue like the one the US is now having over Iraqi policy. From China's perspective, the picture is very different. It sees a major power wanting to slow China down. It sees US and Japanese policies on Taiwan as deliberately postponing reunification as much as possible. It sees the US willingness to ban nuclear rules for India as a move to enlist India into its efforts to contain China. It sees pushing democracy in China as a means to undermine China, complicating both its internal governance and its foreign policy. In the trade field, problems are often politicized and blown out of proportion. the response to Sinop's attempt at purchasing Unocap was alarming. Lead-paint magnets have overnight cast a shadow not only on China's toy industry, but on all other Chinese products as well. Thus, whether China wishes it or not, it has no choice but to engage the rest of the world and help manage these contradictions. Former U.S. Deputy Secretary of State, now World Bank President, Robert Zeller, made the case that China has to become a responsible stakeholder in the global system. Indeed, unless China plays this game well, economic development will be adversely affected. China has become too big to keep a low profile. To the great credit of the Chinese government, it has maintained admirable strategic discipline, particularly in the maintenance of Sino-American relations. For example, when each new U.S. administration tries to shift its China policy, especially on Taiwan, China's response has always been to stay firm, but not escalate, gradually forcing the new administration to go back to its old position. And we are likely to see a repeat of this in 2009. China was dogged in pursuing its entry into the World Trade Organization. The negotiations were very tough, but China persisted, never allowing its long-term objectives to be deflected. When reports appeared in 2002 of President Jiang Zemin's newly ordered Boeing 747 being bugged, China kept quiet, at least in public. When the Chinese embassy in Belgrade was destroyed by U.S. missiles in 1999, the government allowed controlled public demonstrations for about a week so that the Chinese people could vent their anger and then wound it down. By participating in regional and international organizations like the WTO, China creates a better external environment for itself and contributes to global peace. It's better to have ended arguments in the UN and WTO than to settle disputes by force. Both China and small countries like Singapore have a vested interest in a rules-based world where conflicts are resolved in a civilized manner. In China's strategic thinking, stabilizing the border regions is always the most important priority. In the Nansha, China went all of its way to build good relations with ASEAN. Premier Zhu Rongji's proposal for a China-ASEAN Free Trade Agreement in the year 2000 was a brilliant move. In the subsequent negotiations, China took a strategic approach and won the goodwill of ASEAN countries. The South China Sea, China and ASEAN have agreed to resolve boundary problems peacefully and concentrate on joint economic development, although Vietnam remains deeply suspicious. In Central Asia, China initiated the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in 2001, acknowledging the strategic position of Russia. The SCO has been quite successful in promoting economic integration in Central Asia and combating the three evils of terrorism, separatism, and religious extremism. This year, a huge combined military exercise was conducted with great fanfare and publicity.